A very good morning to one and all for today's masterclass about incident management module available in ServiceDesk Plus on Demand. And my name is Srinath, and I will be presenting today's webinar about incident management module. And so we're going to see today's agenda about the incident management. So we're going to see what ways this particular request can be created by the requester by sending out an email, or they can log into the portal and raise the request. So we're going to see multiple ways of creating the request and how the technician can handle this particular in a proper way with a specific automation configured in it. So how they can work within a specified response or resolution time configured in the application. And the next thing is going to be solution module, which is nothing but which acts as a knowledge base for the requesters, where requester can log into the portal and they will be able to view the solutions which you have configured, which will effectively help them to resolve their issue by themselves. And we're going to see the problem management, which is available in ServiceDesk Plus on Demand. And then we're going to move up to the discussion of this particular topic over here. So this is going to be our agenda today. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to provide a simple demo of all the features that includes or that contains within the incident management module, and then we can proceed further on this. So I'm just going to go back and log into the on-demand application as an admin over here. So this is going to be the login page. So I'm going to log in as an admin or a technician, and I'm going to show up how you can configure the templates, workflows, and all the other customization parts. Once it is done, I will also help log in as a requester and show you what's the purpose of to make a particular requester to log into the self-service portal, which will help us, which will help the requester as well. So I'm just going to log in as a technician right now, and just give me 1 minute. So once we logged in, we are going to see about the configuration of the incident management module. So when coming to the incident management module, so the very first thing that's going to come up to us is going to be how the end users can raise a particular request to the on-demand application. So like, what are the ways that requester can raise a particular request? So there are two ways where technicians, the requesters, can raise a particular request in the application. Either they can send out an email and they can raise a request, or they can log into the self-service portal and raise a request in the application. So the very first thing we're going to see is going to be the email, how we can, how the end users can send out an email, how that can be converted as a request in the application. So for this, we have this particular, on this setup, you will be finding an option called mail server settings. This is where you got to configure your mail server details. So for example, let's take, you're going to have an email address called, I'm going to take my organization name as Masterclass. So my domain name will be Masterclass as well. So what if I need to raise a particular request? Well, how I will do that? So I will create an email address called IT Help Desk or IT Service Desk at masterclass.com in my mail service configuration, and then I will provide those details over here. So for example, you can feed in the details. So right now we have some Gmail accounts configured as a testing purpose. So I can feed in your details, like your mail server details. If you're going to use Office 365, you can provide the Office 365 details. Or if you have your own Active Directory, or if you have your own Exchange mail server, you can provide the same over here. So here we're going to just put in our test account over here, so that any email which is going to send out to this particular email address, let's take SDP odtest@gmail.com. So anything sent over here will be created as a request to the application. That's how we are going to define it. So whereas from your point of view, you can go ahead and put in your own details so that it can be converted as a request to the application. And I'm just going to save these details 1 second. And once we're going to save this, So whatever the details that you have provided, make sure it is properly configured. So any email which is sent to this particular email address will be converted as a request in the application. So apart from which, if your mail server is behind the firewall, or what you need to do is that you need to provide your details, which is nothing but you need to provide the IP address. We have a certain list of IP address which we have it in our help document. You have to whitelist all those IP address in the mail server settings, so that in your mail server, so email flow will start to happen. So this is where you have to configure your incoming and outgoing mail server settings. You can also configure what's the name that you want to look like. For example, if I'm the requester, I send out an email to the on-demand application, and that is created as a request. Now technician replies to it. What's the name of the sender name it should be? I can mark it as Sri Help Desk over here, or I can put it as a Masterclass Help Desk as well. So this is where you can configure the mail server settings. This is one way of requesters can create a request in the application. And so what are the other ways that they have? The requester can log into the portal and they can raise the request as well. Apart from sending out an email, and they can send out the, they can log into self-service portal and they raise requests. So what's the difference between sending out email and they log into the portal? So when they send out an email, we will not be able to gather more details at the first step itself. Whereas when they log into the portal, when we make a requesters to log into the portal to raise a particular request, we can gather a lot of details. So we can have multiple fields in the template, and we will be able to gather more details on the very first step itself. So that's what we're going to see, how to configure the templates and the fields over here. Before we go into that, so we have mentioned that the end users can log into the portal and raise a request. Now, how they can add it as a requester in the application, how they can log into the portal, and what are the password they're going to use in order to log into the portal. That's what we're going to see in a quick minute of time here. So you can add requesters over here. So you can either add requesters manually, or you can import from CSV file as well. Maybe if you have an Active Directory, and we provide a provisioning tool where that acts as an intermediate, which imports all the user from Active Directory to on-demand application. And you can configure the Active Directory integration as well, so which helps end users to log into the on-demand application, which help of the Active Directory integration. I mean, they can log in using their AD credentials to access the on-demand application. Or maybe apart from that, if you have Azure Active Directory, or maybe if you have Office 365, then you have an option to import the users from Azure and Office 365, and they can also log in using their Office 365 and Azure credential. So it's so simple for us to make an end user to access the on-demand application as a requester in order to raise a particular request. So we have seen how we can add the requester, what are the ways the request can be created. Now, when coming to self-service portal, it's mandatory for us to go ahead and create templates so we can gather proper details from the requesters. So we are going to go under setup. Under setup, we have templates and forms, and you have incident template. So this is where you're going to configure all the templates, and whatever templates that you have in the on-demand application will be available for the requesters. So we have some default default templates available over here. So we have it as a mail fetching, unable to browse, print a problem, and new joinee, and default request. So these are the templates. By default, we have it. And you can create multiple templates. Apart from this, if you need any other template, you can create it as well. So, so there are another option. So you have 5 templates. If you think that you don't want this templates to be visible for requesters, you have an option to disable this template to the requesters alone when they log in. So what we're going to do is that I'm just going to log into the particular template and show up what are the things that you can do with. So we have already defined a template called mail fetching, And for example, if the end users have any issues in sending or fetching the emails, they can log into the portal and they will choose this particular template to raise the request. So when they choose this particular template, what are the fields that you want the end users to view? For example, you have status, impact, and mode, tire, so urgency, priority. So there are some default fields that we have provided. So whatever fields that you have in this particular template can be customized under admin portion or admin tab. So you're going to go to the setup section, and under setup you have customization, and under customization help desk. So whatever fields that you have in the templates, you will be able to see all the fields over here. So whereas this is nothing but what's the value of this particular field. For example, if you're going to choose the level, what are the level it should pull up, or in the drop down, what are the values it needs to show up. So that's the place where you have to configure this. You're going to configure level, mode, impact, and urgency, and priority, and all the fields that you can configure. These are the fields that will be available in the template. So making use of this, the requester can raise a request. You will be able to define a proper category. So for example, if they log in and they raise a request using the mail fetching template, so you can further categorize that. What's the exact issue with help of categories, subcategories, and item. So you can under each subcategory, you can have multiple subcategories. Under subcategories, you will be able to have new items as well. You can have multiple items as well. So for example, you can click on this particular icon to create it. So internet problem on my internet problem in IE browser. So I can save this as a subcategory. Further to this, I will be able to add an item stating IE version. So this is where I can provide all the list of IE versions over here, and end users can choose a proper browser version, so which will help technicians to go ahead and resolve the issue further. So let's take this is a default fields that we have, but you have some idea to get an employee ID of this particular user, or what's the location they are located at, like what's the ID of the location which they have located at. You want to gather these details. So we don't have this additional by default fields available, whereas you can go ahead and configure the additional fields for the requester section under additional fields details. Here, by default, we have added 4 additional fields, and you can also add one other field called location. So whereas the requester will be able to fill this field, so maybe if you want to go to the requester in person to resolve it, you can get the location details as well. So once you add this particular field, you have an option to configure this additional field in the templates. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go back to the template section, and I'm going to click on the mail fetching settings, so I can define all the values. Maybe, for example, let's take this is a field, this is a template which will be used by end user when they log into the portal. So what's the mode of this particular raising request? It's going to be web form. So anyhow, they're going to log in and they're going to raise a request. So what I can do is that I can by default set the value as web form, and I can also make this particular field as I will uncheck the option requester can send. So by default, the value for this particular field will be web form. And if you want to make a particular field as a mandatory, let's take, you have categories, subcategories, and item listed over here. So if you want to make this as a mandatory field, I will be able to make this as a mandatory as well. So this mandatory check will happen when they log in and they raise the request. So apart from this, so what if I don't want this template to be visible for all the users? I want this to be visible for only a specific set of users who belongs to a particular site or who belongs to a particular department. So you have to group them first. So when you're going to enable show to requester option, it will ask you to choose the user group to whom this template needs to be visible for. Let's take this template is going to be visible only for the users who belongs to a particular site in the application. I can first define the user group. So user group can be defined under setup. So under setup, you will be able to find an option called user group. I can create a user group, and I will be able to set some criteria. For example, if department is administration, group them. So whoever belongs to administration will be covered under this particular user group. Now this user group will be available for the end users when they log in and they raise the request. So if you're going to go back and come to the mail fetching template, you will be able to find an option called HR and admin right now. And I can forward this particular template to be visible only for these two user group, and I will be able to save it. So we have what configured the template, so all the fields, and apart from which, if you want to add some additional fields like location, and I will be able to put it, I can drag and put it into the template, and I can also make this particular field as a mandatory field in the application, and I will be able to save it. And once it has been saved, so this particular field will be available for the requesters. And even when you go back to the list of templates which you have, you will be able to see this option turned as yes. Show to requester will be turned as yes. Likewise, you can have multiple templates, and you can have multiple fields in it, and you can also have additional fields as well. So this is the template that we have configured right now. So what's going to be the next step? Apart from the templates, let's take, if it is going to be a mail fetching issue, once it is a mail fetching issue, this needs to be, this particular request has to be worked on at different departments. Like, the Office 365, let's take, if you have a Office 365 mail server, so this has to be taken care by an Office 365 team. Then I can create a task over here, and I can make this task assigned to the proper department. And probably, let's take, apart from which you have an Active Directory departments who take care of this mail fetching issues, and apart from which there are multiple departments who needs to work on this particular task. So what I would do is that I will create multiple tasks, and each task will be assigned to a proper group. Here, let's take so whatever department that you have can be configured as a group, IT group and Active Directory and Office 365 group, and you will be able to add them. So for example, apart from which, you can go to the setup section and technician groups, where you can add all the groups. So whatever the groups that's going to be listed over here has to be configured under setup, users and permission, technician group, and you can add multiple groups over here, and you can edit the group, and you can add the technician responsible for this particular group. When a particular request come under this group, who needs to take care of it, there's something going to be added as a technician. So these both technician will take care of hardware problem issues. So likewise, I'm going to add a task over here. So mail server, restart the mail account. So I will be able to save it. So you can add multiple tasks, and you can also trigger this task on the creation of incident template or approval of incident template, or manually as well. So we can put it as on creation. So this task has to be assigned automatically, and you have another two options over here for the requester. Allow requester to select task. Maybe if they think that this task is not just required, I just wanted to communicate this to the technician, then you can enable this option. So when the requester raises a particular request, they can uncheck this particular task and they can raise it. So this is what the option that we have. And one other option is going to be form rule within the template. You can create multiple form roles, which is nothing but, so you have a lot of categories, subcategories configured. For example, let's take, you have a lot of categories, subcategories configured. So if someone raise a particular request with help of the mail fetching problem template, I don't want all the categories to be visible. I just want only one specific categories to be visible. So what I will do is that I would create a form rule, hide all categories except mail fetching category. So here, what I would do is that I will choose it as all user, and the template will be selected as mail fetching template. So on form load, I will be able to hide the values or hide the values for this particular remove option category. I will be able to remove all the categories except the one which belongs to the IT template, the mail fetching template. So I'm just going to remove this one, internet. So when they raise a particular request using this template, the category will be shown as internet. All other categories will not show up. So I will be able to save this form rules over here. So once it has been configured, so this is the configuration part of the incident template. What's going to be the next step? Once a requester raise a particular request, what will be done? So you can configure some additional fields, which we have done it. And once it has been done, we can configure the business rules and notification and service level agreements. So we are going to go under setup, and under automation, you have business rule, service level agreements, and a notification rule and closure code. These are the things which we're going to see up right now. So what's the purpose of having a business rule? So for example, if a particular request raised by, let's take an IT manager or a CEO of an organization, and we have to mark that particular request as a high priority request. So if it is going to be a high priority request, then this needs to be taken care by a specific group of technicians, and this has to be resolved within a 1 hour, or 1 hour or 2 hours of time. So this can be achieved using the automation. So what I will do is that I will, under incident business rule, I will create a business rule stating if the requester is going to be the admin. So for example, let's take IT administrator, then create a custom action, so which is nothing but put the priority as high. So what will happen is, so if this particular requester is going to be IT administrator, then by default, the request will be set as a priority high. So high priority request. So once we add this particular details, so once we configured this incident business rule, and then what's the next thing is going to be, if it's going to be a high priority request, when it needs to be resolved, how long they can work on this particular request. This is what they can define it under service level agreements. For example, I can edit the high service level agreement. So I can define if the priority is going to be high, this has to be resolved within 1 hour of time. And I mean, it has to be responded within 1 hour of time, and it has to be resolved within 4 hours of time if the priority is going to be high. And if it has not been resolved within 4 hours of time, I can escalate. I have 4 levels of escalations which I can enable it, and this will be moving this particular request. It can be escalated to the IT department stating this request has not been resolved within a specific time, and you can assign it to the next level of group. So next level of technicians who can work on it. So for example, add members to escalate. So you can have some managers configured for each users. So reporting manager, for example, if I'm the technician, you can mark a reporting manager to my account. So if I have not fixed this particular issue, and this is going to send out an email to reporting manager of this particular technician stating the request has been violated and the technician has not resolved this particular request, and I can also move this request to another level technician. So approval tech. So if it is not being resolved by a normal technician, it can be moved to the next level of technician, and they can work on it, and they will be able to configure it. And using the service level agreement, once it has been escalated, you will be able to set up some priorities and level for this particular escalated request as well. So this is part that we have defined. So you will be able to find one other option. So you can have 4 levels of escalation likewise over here, and even you can escalate after the resolution time exceeds or before the resolution time exceeds. So that means you will be able to escalate it to the reporting manager before the resolution time is about. For example, you can escalate before half an hour of time, or maybe you will be able to escalate after 1 hour to this particular reporting manager of the technician. So he will be notified and he can get in touch with the technician to know the status of this particular request. So that's a reason that we have business rule and service level agreements. So business rule is to create a rule. You can set up a rule and you will be able to define the values. And the service level agreements is nothing but it's just to consider or configure the escalations for the request module. So we have come up across business rule and service level agreement. So what's going to be the next step? So when a particular requester raises a request, and once it is being raised, you want to acknowledge the requester stating that a particular request has been raised and with the request ID so and so. And you have to send out an email to them. So what's the email that they will get it? How I can configure it? So which is something that you're going to do it under notification rules. Under notification rules, we have a list of notifications available. We have notifications for requesters, notifications for technicians, and email templates as well. So I will be able to just enable this all the notification. If we want to configure the content which is available within this particular notification, then I can click on customize template and I will be able to customize the email notification template which is sent to the requester and technician. So I will be able to add you have options to customize the template for all the notification, and once it has been done, you will be able to save it. So here we have what we have done is going to be business rule, service level agreements, notification, which we have configured. So the next thing is going to be preventive maintenance task. So for example, so if you want to schedule a request that needs to be created automatically once in a month, or maybe the first Monday of each month, you can create that scheduled task with help of preventive maintenance task. Let's say you wanted to change the printer toner every month. So, and this needs to be taken care by a specific technician. So you can create a new PM task and you will be able to associate this particular task to a technician and you will be able to schedule it. So I can put it as, so this is what you can create some preventive maintenance task and you will be able to define who can work on it and who will be the requester. So for example, it looked like IT administrator will be the requester and I'm going to assign the technician as approver tech. So this request has to be taken care by an approver. So change the printer toner. So, and you can, under the description, you will be able to provide the location ID where the printer is. Location, let's take BV35. This is the location where the printer is at, and the technician has to change the toner of the printer, and I will be able to schedule this particular task. So when this task has to be, when this request has to be created, so I will be able to schedule it on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis and generate once as well. So we generate once in the sense if I want to schedule a request which has to be created in another half an hour sometime, maybe if I'm going to go for a meeting in the while, so I will be able to generate this task once and I will be able to schedule it. So based on the option that you have, the task will be created. So for example, you have periodic schedules. You can make this request to be created on every 2 days. So the technician, the assigned technician will go ahead and will check the top prints its owner for every 2 days, or you will be able to do it on a monthly schedule. So every month and on first day of every month and what time it has to be done. So let's put it as 10 a.m. and it has to be done in the 10 a.m. So this task will be created on every month on day 1 and at 10 a.m. So I'm just going to finish this. So this task will be created on, you will be able to find the details. So this task will be created on every first, and it will be automatically assigned to the technician who is responsible, and they can start working on it. So that's the reason we have the preventive maintenance task over here. And once preventive maintenance task is done, so you can configure technician auto assign. So which is nothing but, so you have defined the workflows, business rules, service level agreements. How you can assign the technician automatically to a request. So that's where you have technician auto assign feature. So technician auto assign will assign the technician in 2 models or 2 ways, either in round robin or load balancing. So if you have 5 requests created, and if we have 5 technicians, round robin will make sure that each one request is assigned to one technician, where load balancing will make sure all the technician have same number of open requests left. So that's the reason you have the load balancing over here. And apart from which, so let's take, if technician auto assign is going to be enabled, and if I'm going to be on leave today, and will the technician auto assign will assign the request to me? No, that's what. So if you're going to enable consider technicians availability, and I can mark this as created date. So if on the when the request is created today, and if I'm going to be on leave today, technician auto assign will not assign the request to me. But in order this to happen, the technician has to go to the home page. So they will be able to find the scheduler over here. Under the home page, you can find the schedulers. They will be able to mark them leave over here. So if they can, add the leaves, and so the leave types also, they will be able to choose it, and they will be able to add it. So apart from which, so if you have any other further leave type that you wanted to do it, this is also something that can be configured as well. So so we are in the one second. So we are under the technician auto assign feature. So under technician auto assign, you can enable this option. And if you want the technician auto assign not to assign to one specific technician. So for example, let's take you have 10 technicians, and the technician auto assign should assign to only 8 technicians. You don't want 2 of them to be assigned, then you can exclude them over here as well. So when you're going to exclude this, with help of the technician auto assign, you will be able to assign the technician. So requester can raise a request, and the business rule executes, and the service level agreement sets the escalation, and the technician auto assign assigns the request. So this is a simple workflow how the templates and the incident management module works. So we have covered up, kind of how to create a template, how to define business rules and service level agreements and notification and help desk. So and one other thing is going to be announcement. So the major part of the requester, making requester to log into the portal, is going to be, so for example, let's take this particular on today, none of the printers will work in your organization. So how you can make this announcement to the end user? Under announcement, I will be able to create a new announcement. So I will put it as service down, and I will be able to schedule this as well. So we have some default announcement types over here, and however, you will be able to add new announcement type as well. So this is the type that you have. The announcements can be configured under the announcement section, which will be available under the home tab. Under home, you have the announcements. You will be able to click on the announcement, and you will be stating that the printer will not work on the specific time. Printer will not. So, and apart from this, you will be able to make the configuration when it is scheduled. For example, if it is not going to work today, and for today alone, and I will be able to make this announcement available, and I will be able to save it as well. Printer will not work today, and I can make this announcement globally to the end users. So it will be available from today morning 6 a.m. until it's going to be 9 p.m. in the evening. So you can make this happen, and you will be able to save it as well. So once you're going to save it, this will be marked as a public. You can mark it as a public. All the users in the organization can view it. Maybe if you want this to be available only for the technicians, you can mark it as private. Only technicians can view this announcement. I mean, they will be able to view this announcement when they log in. And apart from which, if you want to save it, you will be able to save it over here. So once it has been done, the end user will be able to see this announcement as well. So you can mark the announcement type as service down, and I will be able to save it. So this is the purpose that you have the announcement as well. So you will be able to see the scheduled announcement, and you have some filters, active announcement and expired announcement as a option as well. And so active announcement will be today's announcement. The printer will not work today, so that you can see it under active announcement. Likewise, when the technician log into the portal or the requester log into the portal, they will be able to find it as well. So we have configured the announcement. So the next thing is going to be, we are going to make end users to log into the portal, and we're going to raise a particular request and show up how it's going to look like. So before we move into that, the last thing which I need to provide some information as a admin portion is going to be home tab. Under home tab, you have dashboard sections, schedulers, task, and reminders. This can be configured as well. So under dashboard, you will be able to find the help desk dashboard, where you can see how the progress going on. And if you wanted to configure a new dashboard, you can create a new dashboard with help of the widgets which we have provided. We have provided some default widgets that you can add it over here, and you can make this widget or make this particular dashboard visible for the end users. Apart from it, you can have multiple dashboard, and you will be able to mark one of them as a default. For example, I can mark help desk dashboard as a default. So when I log in, I will be able to see the help desk dashboard. So once the request is created, so technician has to work on it. So like technician has to reply to the request. So in order to reply to the request, there should be some reply template configured, and apart from which you have resolution templates as well. So you can have some kind of default reply and resolution template which can be configured as well. So when they reply to a particular request, they will be able to find this for reply. So for example, if you want the end user to call it every time, you don't want to type in like please call with regards to this request. So when you're going to reply to the request, the technician, so when you have 4 templates over here, when you reply to it, you will be able to find the reply. For example, I'm going to go to one of the requests which we have already created, and I'm going to reply for it, and I will be able to choose the reply template. Please call us. So this will override the existing one. So it will state as please call to the following number for the support as a sysadmin team. So this is how you can define some reply templates. And if you want to customize the reply template as well, you can edit it, and you will be able to configure the reply template. You can add whatever the details that you wanted to put in. And if you wanted to have some kind of variables, values set to this particular template, you can add it as well. And so once the reply template is configured, you can have some resolution template as well. You will be able to add some multiple resolutions stating that, so for example, we have scheduled a printer toner needs to be changed on every month first of the day. So every time the technician does not need to update the resolution, but they can create a new template for changing the printer toner. And so once that particular request is completed, you will be able to choose this particular resolution as a template as well. So that's what you have it for the resolution template. You can have multiple resolution templates that you can configure it. And we have seen this option form rule within the template, within the incident template, whereas apart from configuring it within the template, you have it under template and form. You have under form rule, you will be able to define multiple form rule, and you can associate this form rule to the template as well. Either you can, within the template, you can add the form rule, or you can create the form rule and associate this form rule to the template as well. You have both the ways to do that. And last thing will be when coming to the incident management, it's going to be solution. So this is going to be the major part that you're going to work on. So because when end user logins, you can make the end user to go through the solutions that you have, which will, the end users can see whether the solution which you have already provided is helpful for them to resolve the request by themselves. And this will reduce the total number of requests created on a daily basis. And it will be easy for the requester to complete their task as well. So you can have multiple solutions that can be added, and you will be able to, once it has been added, you have to mark this, or maybe, for example, I'm going to add a particular solution, but this solution belongs to only HR department alone. I can make this solution visible for HR department alone, and I will be able to save it and approve it. So once it has been saved, and you will be able to approve it as well. So by default, I have approved it, and you can have you can send this approval to the approvers, and you will be able to approve it. So this Apart from this, you will be having an option to define the approvers as well. So when you go to the technician, you have two approvers that can be enabled for a particular requester. So you can either mark a technician as a request approver and a purchase order approver as well. So apart from the technician, requester can also be an approver as well. For example, let's take this particular requester is organization admin, or maybe a group admin for group head for a hardware problem. I can add this and I will be able to save it, and I can make him as a request approver. So in this way, for example, in the approval, I can go ahead and configure, if the category is printer problem, then send it to group head, and the approver email will be sent to this particular requester, and the requester can approve it as well. So this is what you have it. And so the main thing is going to be incident management will be helping the requesters to raise a request, that they can find the announcement, they will be able to find the solutions as well. So you have all these details configured within the application. So apart from the incident management, and once the request has been raised, so and the technician is going to work on it, and technicians will be able to fix the issue. Upon fixing it, you can configure the survey. So once it has been fixed, you can send out an email to the, send out a survey email to the requester, whether how you would like to rate this particular request. So I have an option to enable the survey, and the survey can be configured so with your wish, like what we need the welcome message has to be, and what has to be the success message and failure message, and how this survey has to be scheduled. On every request you wanted to send the survey, or to a specific, so for example, if you want to send out the survey only if 3 requests are closed, then you can define it over here as well. And so what are the questions that you would like to define it under the survey is something that you can do it. So you can define the questions, how satisfied are you? So I will be able to add these details, and I will be able to add some values. So if this is going to be the question, so what's going to be the options that they are going to get is going to be something that you can do it. So what are the satisfaction level? So poor or good or excellent. So you can also have a preview over here. How satisfied are you? Poor, good, or excellent. So this is how the survey gonna look like when the end user gonna get it. So end user will get an email stating, please complete the survey. Once they click on it, they're gonna get this particular box to appear. And once it has been done, you will be able to find the survey result as well. You will be able to find how much they have ranked or rated this particular request can be visible on the survey result. So what about that you do it under request? Like, how many requests has been, let's take at the end of the month, if you wanted to take how many requests has been created for this month, or how many requests has been created on a specific group for this particular month, is something that you can take with help of the report section. So under report section, you will be able to create new custom report, or by default that we have provided maximum number of report that can be defined it, and you will be able to, just like that, you can go ahead and you will be able to create it as well. So this is what that we have it under report section. So you can click on new custom report, and you will be able to choose the module for which you would like to take a report. You have a tabular report, matrix, summary, and audit report, and you will be able to choose it, and you will be able to proceed further, and you can create your own request. Maybe if you would like to have some filters, what are the requests which been created last month, and you will be able to put it in this way as well. So last month, and you can run the report, and you will be able to find the report, how many requests has been created last month. So this is the report section that we have. So for a request module, we have all the reports available as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to log out of the application, and I'm going to show you how the requester can log in and raise the request. So the requester will be able to choose this. So one second, I'm just going to log out of as a technician, and the requester will be able to land into this particular page, and they can sign up over here, and you have an option to customize the help desk URL as well. And once they log in, they will be able to get into the home page, and they will be able to find the details of it. For example, if it's going to be the my summary is something, what are the requests which I have created in the past? Maybe I have an issue which is something related to the request which I have raised in the past. What's the solution which is being provided by the technician? I can go ahead and click on the pending request, or I will be able to go to the completed request, and I will be able to find the solutions which has been provided on this particular request under resolution tab. So this is what that you have it. So once you log in as an end user, you have an option to create an incident template, create a service request. So once I click on create an incident template, I will be able to find all the templates available here. So under incident template, we have enabled only mail fetching template for requesters as an admin. So I can find only the mail fetching template. I will be able to log in. I can choose the categories and subcategories, and I will be able to put in the location as BVV 345. This is my location, and so as we have configured, I can either enable this task or disable this task, but I want this restarting the mail account to be done. So I'm just going to add this particular request over here. So the request has been raised, and I will be able to find the details of it if the technician is going to reply, and I will be able to find it under the conversation tab. And whatever the resolution provided by the requester will be available under the resolution tab as well. And one other thing that we were looking at is going to be announcement. So the announcement is something that's going to pop up over here. So end user will be able to see the announcements which you have made for the day. And apart from the request, so you will be able to find the solution modules. This is where the end user will be able to search the solution, whether they have any issues with the hardware. They will be able to check the desktop hardware solutions that you have provided, and the solution can be visible over here, and the end user can work on the solution and they can fix it. So once you configure all the solutions, so this is going to be helpful for requesters to find the solution, and they can find the request which has been available as well. And they also have a dashboard to find the recent requests which they have created. So I'm just going to move back to the login. I'm just going to log in back as a technician, and I'm going to show one other module, which is nothing but a problem module. So for example, if a requesters raise a request, and the 10 requesters have raised a request stating the printer is not working, then this is not something that considered as a incident or request in the application. It has to be configured as a problem in the application. So how we can take care of this problem and how the technicians can go ahead and convert it, this is something that we're going to see right now. So for example, let's take if you get 4 mail fetching issues related problems here. So I can go to this request. I will be able to see the request which is being created by the technician requester, and I will be able to reply for it. So I need a callback. So I will be able to tell them, please call me, and I will be able to send this message to the requesters. Once I do it, you can see the notification has been sent successfully as well. So once it has been done, and so likewise, as I stated, there are 4 requesters has raised issue related to mail fetching. So I can go ahead and create or associate this particular request to a new problem. And if I don't have, if it is going to be an existing problem, then I can go ahead and search it. Or if it's going to be a new problem, and I will be go ahead and putting it as unable to fetch the emails, I can mark it as a problem, and I'm going to save this. So once it has been saved, and under problem section, you will be able to find this new problem that you have created and unable to fetch email. So you will be, so the technician who is responsible for the approver tech will take care of this, and they will work on this particular problem. They will analyze the root cause of this problem and what's going to be the impact and how many users will be impacted because of this, and what's going to be the symptom. And upon working on this, they will be able to provide the solutions. What's the solution they have done? For example, if they have restarted the mail server, that's what they can add it as a solutions over here as well. Restarted the mail fetching service. So once they add it, and it's going to provide some solution. Maybe if it is available as a solution, they will be able to add it as well. And if you want this solution to be visible under the solution tab, then you can also publish this solution under the self-service portal as well, and I will be able to add it. And reminder, maybe I have to work on this particular problem tomorrow. I will be able to set reminders for this problem as well, and I can add work logs, how long I have been working on this particular request, and what are the information which I have done within this particular time frame. So within today, for half an hour, I have worked on this. I will be able to define this as well under the work log section. So this work log is not only available under problem, it is available under the request section as well. The end user will be, the technician will be able to add the work logs over here, and they will be able to do it. And apart from which, if this is going to be a printer problem, before converting this as a printer problem, if you want to get this approved by a reporting manager, I can click on approval. I can send it for approval as well. So once they approve it, I can convert it as a problem. So under problem management, so you will be able to see the things that you have added here, and what are the notifications which you have done, and what are the history which you have done. So let's take, if 5 requests are associated to this problem, upon closing this particular request, if you want all the associated incident to be closed as well, so this is what that you can define it under closure rule. Under automation, under closure rule, and you will be able to find an option called problem closure rule, and you will be able to enable this option. Associated task should be closed as well, and close all associated incident as well. So once you close up the problem, let's take 5 requesters have raised a problem within the printer, and that's been converted as a problem, and I have worked on it, I have completed. So upon completing the problem, all the 5 incident has to be closed right now. So this is where you can automate it using the closure code. You can go ahead and enable this option, close all the associated incident, and I will be able to save it. And under we have also option for the request closure code as well. So for example, if I'm going to close a particular request, and if you want a few fields as a mandatory field as during the closure alone, so then you can make a group and category and mandatory. And apart from which, for example, you have resolution. I can go ahead and enable the resolution as a mandatory field, so the technician has to fill the resolution before they close the request. If they close the request without the resolution, they're going to get the error message stating the resolution has not been provided. For example, I'm going to go back to any one of the requests, and let me close it and show you how it's going to work. So for example, I'm going to click on unable to fetch the pin, and I will go ahead and close this particular request. So I have an option to choose the closure code as well. It's going to be closure code is success because the problem has been created, and following 8 cannot be completed. So please fill the following fields. So whatever that you have configured under the problem or the closure code will be available over here. So the technicians can go ahead and fill in the resolutions and other fields over here, and they can go ahead and close it. So this is the problem and incident management that we have within the on-demand application. So I think hopefully this might have helped you out, I guess. So we're going to quickly recap on the things that we have done right now. So we have completed. So what are the 6 effective way to handle the incident request is going to be something that we're going to see up here. So we have also provided this particular presentation under the attachment section. You can go ahead and download it as well. So apart from which, so you can enable the access for self-service portal for the requesters, and you can configure the business rules, and you will be able to define the service level targets over here. And the next thing is going to be the setting up the notification. You can set up the notification, and you will be able to configure the maintenance tasks. So configure the regular maintenance as well. So apart from which, so this is the solution section, which end user will see what are the solutions which you have added. Thank you all for your time. Hope the masterclass was helpful to you, and see you on the next masterclass, which is going to be the change management, which is going to be about the change management on August 22nd. And hope to see you all again then. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye now.